Hello, hello, hello. This is another episode of the Mental Threads Podcast, episode 138. I'm here with Dalton Statz. You don't want to be called a Dalton or just Dalton Statz? Like, what are you going to refer you as?
You can call me Dalton. You can call me Statz. It don't matter, man.
All right, cool. Me and Dalton met back in the Queens Grant days and everything, back in high school. And you graduated what year?
It was I think I was class of 13.
Oh, 2013. Okay, all right, that's cool. That's cool. So wait, was that my freshman year? I think. Okay, yeah. So that you left right around the time I came in, basically,
Okay.
because it was like
Yeah, I knew.
because I think I was 14 when I came into high school, so I turned 15 my freshman year.
All right. Yeah, I graduated when I just turned 18. So
Yeah, and that was 2013, correct?
yeah.
Oh, okay, well, cool. How's life been after Queens Grant?
Well, I went to Johnson and Wales University for sports entertainment event management. For anybody out there, it's kind of like sports management. It's just Johnson and Wales as the entertainment and the event aspect to their curriculum. So, if anybody's aware of like sports management degrees, that's basically what I got my undergrad in.
Oh, okay, and Johnson C. Wales, where's that at again?
Johnson and Wells is actually in downtown Charlotte. It's at I think it's 801 West Trade Street is actually the address.
Oh, it's not like Johnson C. Smith, right? It's just like
No, it's not Johnson C. Smith. It's Johnson and Wells. It's like I said, it's on Trade Street, West Trade Street.
Oh, uptown Charlotte. Okay. I'm trying to visualize because the only like colleges I know that's uptown Charlotte is like CPCC and Johnson C. Smith, and then like now there's another one, Johnson C. Wales.
No, it's Johnson and Wells.
Oh, Johnson and Wells. Okay,
Yeah.
and that's three colleges altogether. That's just in uptown Charlotte alone.
Right, and then you also got the main campus for UNCC, right? Or is that right?
Yeah, UNCC is in Charlotte, but it's in like the north side of Charlotte, not uptown in
Oh
the
yeah,
city.
yeah.
That's cool. Is it like a big campus or is it just like a little small campus?
Well, when I went there, they had four campuses. Now they only have two campuses due to COVID. They brought a lot of things scaled down. So Johnson and Wells had the Charlotte campus. They had a North Miami campus, a Denver, Colorado campus, and Providence, Rhode Island campus. And now they only have the Providence, Rhode Island, and Charlotte campuses. Um, but again, it was only like two buildings. Actually, it's the DoubleTree Hotel rented out a few of their floors for dormitories. I believe that's what it was for people who stayed on campus. Now, for me, I was a commuter.
Wow, that's cool. DoubleTree at Hilton. That's crazy you bring up DoubleTree, man, because I love their cookies. I know
And
that
you
it's
know,
kind of off topic. It's just like dang, like wow. I haven't had a DoubleTree cookie in how long?
well, the funny thing is the double or about the DoubleTree Hotel, and you mentioned the cookies and stuff, is they may have been baked by Johnson and Wells students because Johnson and Wells is uh, a culinary school also, but
Oh,
they
okay.
have quite a few programs. They have a hospitality program, and that falls underneath my banner, like I said, with sports management or sports entertainment event management. But the restaurant entrepreneurship, and then they have the culinary program. Then they even have they have a business program and um, what else? They have fashion merchandising. So those are the three like only that they have now. Since then, they may have expanded a little bit, but when I was there, they only had like three types of programs that you were with, and all right, like I said, culinary, the hospitality, which entail, like I said, the merchant or with the restaurant entrepreneurship and the sports entertainment event management, then regular business administration.
Hey, yo, do you hear anything in the background?
It's a little background.
Yeah,
It's a little.
sorry, my bad. It's my dog.
It's okay.
He's just doing way too much. I don't know. Usually he be asleep. I don't know what's the problem because it's like I know what he needs. Yeah, actually, damn, I don't want to have to pause this. Like, can we just pause this right quick?
Yeah, you're good, buddy.
I just right back. My bad. Sorry about that. I had to put my dog out. Anyway, yeah, so you were going on about like DoubleTree and all the other programs in regards to Johnson and Wales.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and you're just talking about the business programs and stuff.
Yeah, I was just like I said, when I was there was a few of the little those they just had a few programs, but I know that Johnson and Wales as a whole university was trying to upgrade their more not really satellite campuses, but their main campuses in Providence, Rhode Island. So with their other campuses, they were trying to expand. And I think what happened was Charlotte was the only one that kind of survived the pandemic, and so now it's just Charlotte and Providence, Rhode Island.
What do you think helped Charlotte to survive the pandemic in terms of like like the campuses shutting down or whatnot? What do you think helped with that?
Honestly, well, Trudy Lacey, she's actually that's the athletic director there. She's was part of the WNBA. So they had a lot of, or so I think some of that, and there's some professors that are heavily involved in like the sports aspect of it, and I'm just speaking mostly on the degree or my degree program. They're and they work with like the Panthers, the Carolina Panthers, the Charlotte Checkers, the Lowe's Motor Speedway, the Hornets, and some of the also the local sports organizations, and then like I said, with the culinary program and just having the hotels, just it's easier, I guess, for that campus to have a lot of internships, because mostly with undergrads, that's kind of a big thing is your senior year is having an internship, and so I just think there was a lot more opportunities and internships with the Charlotte campus for all degree programs.
Man, that's crazy. I didn't know like they're involved with so many things in regards to like Charlotte sports teams and everything. You think that maybe it might have something to do with the higher ups of like the facilities, like just being like friends or something like that, or just knowing
That's
each
why I
other.
was, that's why I was saying. I just think that honestly, like I said, having great connections. I know that I know one professor of mine, one of my like top five professors in my undergrad. He uh, moved down here from New York with the Albany River Rats, and that's a hockey team. And they became the new Charlotte Checkers, because the Charlotte Checkers used to be around as part of the ECHL, and then they kind of folded. And then when they became part of the American Hockey League, they came down and they took on that name. The Albany River Rats did, and so even with him, or my professor that I had discussion right now, he worked with like the New York Rangers, which is a National Hockey League team, and um, just like I said, just having all these networks to having with all these sports, teams, and like I said, I'm mostly speaking on my degree program, but the same thing applies. I since I've had to I was in a position of sports entertainment event management. I also had to take some hospitality classes for like serve safe, for alcohol training and stuff like that. So I know even some of these professors that deal with more of the food and beverage or hotel management type stuff, they have many years of experience underneath their belt prior to getting into teaching.
Okay, well, that's crazy. And even all everything in regards to like the whole checker situation. So like when it comes to the Charlotte Checkers, are they just like cuz I actually been to one of their games and everything when I was working for a this one other job and everything. We had to jump from place to place. And I was working a Charlotte Checkers game, which was at Bojangles Coliseum. So they're really not technically a major sports team, basically, right?
Right. They're what the way that I would put it is this. If you're familiar with the baseball play, you have the MLB, the AAA, the AA, and the single A. Well, they would be considered like a AAA team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so they're a farm team for the Florida Panthers, which is based, I believe, now in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
And but they used to actually be the farm team for the Carolina Hurricanes that is based out of Raleigh.
Mm-hmm.
But again, um, I don't know why they changed team affiliations. But again, it's kind of that, you have you have the professional team, and then you have like a minor league team. So yeah, they're like a minor league team.
Oh.
Um, but again, we have the Charlotte Hornets, the Carolina Panthers as our major professional sports team. And then, as I was just mentioning, with minor league teams, you have the Charlotte Checkers and even the Charlotte Knights, who
Mm-hmm.
are the AAA team. So, and not even to mention, I forgot to mention the golf tournament that comes every year as well. So, like I said, on the sports, and that's what I was really big into with my undergrad. Um, but I also knew going into it, as you mentioned, we were high school students together, and I wanted to do more stuff for the Lord and stuff because I was big in the YCI, the Youth Commission International Club at Queens Grant, and I, I I used that as a catalyst for my master's degree in urban ministry that I got
Mm-hmm.
at Grand Canyon University, and I even got a second master. So I'm a double master's student with Grand Canyon University. The second master's being just in regular business leadership, but again, it's a Christian university, so I kind of have that aspect of servant leadership. But I've always, wanted to gear my business and everything of serving people and doing that in ways of sports and entertainment to help glorify and point people into the direction of Christ and the Lord, and also with other things that's gone on in the past few years, especially with this pandemic. um I've seen how also the shape of just urban ministry, again, it could be, it could be the way that you would traditionally think of it, as just going to the inner city and kind of just preaching to environment that doesn't really necessarily get the gospel to it, and that's where the Christian hip hop and things like that are involved. Also, it could just be just the understanding of different cultures, and that's uh and so I think with that aspect, I realized that me kind of growing up in suburbia, but wanting to have a big aspect of mental health, has kind of helped me realize where my ministry focus should be at. And that's why, excuse me, most of the stuff that I do on my Instagram, Stat Street Poetry, and that's STATZStreetpoetry. It has a lot to do with mental health, poetry, and some songs, and with the Lord and everything, and also incorporating faith and giving hope, to people that may be down in you know, when they're just like, I don't know where to turn. That's why like it the pandemic also helped me with that and everything. But just the aspect of learning that in that degree program helped me kind of shape my ministry. Because for a long time, even when I was uh in high school and even in my undergrad, I kind of was just wanting to follow um of what people were wanting to do, or what people were wanting to kind of hear, and not really kind of having my own self. So I was kind of just kind of regurgitating a lot of what people are already doing, and not really finding my true self. But now it's like I've realized and I've understand where that comes, and uh that's where for me, you know, I've I've noticed that the ministry aspect for me is mental health, and I want to, you know, like I said, give emphasis and praise to the Lord. So
Oh yeah, man, that's good. One thing I always respected about you is that you had a huge devotion to the Lord and everything. And it's just like, even on my journey, like I've been through a whole lot of ups and downs the past couple years, even after graduation. I graduated 2016, so like 3 years after you. And it was just like I found myself, just I don't want to say like in a sense isolated due to a whole lot of drama business, hanging out with the same crowds at Queens Grant. You know how people can be at Queens Grant. Everyone's experience is kind of different, but I feel like for my situation, I feel like I was kind of there too long. Like I feel like a lot of my friends kind of left after freshman year, so it's just kind of hard to kind of tap in. Like I had to like really build a scarce circle and everything. And then on top of that, there are upperclassmen that had an issue with me, and I never really understood why. So it just led to a whole lot of nonsense that kind of bled into like community college years. And then it took form to other things like up and down since then. But I learned that the closer I built a relationship with God, which is like actually more recent for me in my case, cause I'll be in and out of church, but I feel like now like I'm more consistent now that I'm in Sunday school since one of my grandfather's ex-wives got ill. Like we're kind of like it's one of my uncle's mothers and everything, and she's kind of like a grandma to me, so it's like that automatically I just went straight to church and I was just praying about her like every Sunday, and then she was just kind of getting better, and then it's just parts of my life started to improve, like it was just very helpful for me. So it's just like like it's hard for me to start the week off without going to church to that end for sure. And it's just like what can you say? What really like led you into like your journey, like building a relationship with God and everything? 'Cause I mentioned you only like you kind of connected with God more in 10th grade. Is that what you said? Correct?
yeah, 10th grade is when I officially got saved and baptized, but actually my journey starts at Independence High School my ninth grade year. And
Oh, you started at Independence.
yeah, I was a freshman at Independence, and I actually, just as you were kind of describing, you were having just some kind of some, not necessarily problems, but just, this people were just kind of just not really, you know, in that, just some same little, just small little dramas in my freshman year kind of forced me out of Independence High School. And um, I really, it bled over, and I mean, it got to the point where school resource officer had to get involved, because, and all this stuff that I'm talking about happened within the neighborhood, my neighborhood I grew up in, but it bled into school, and the school resource officer got involved, and they were like the best opportunity would be either going and transferring to Butler High School or going to Queens Grant High School. And he may still deal with certain types of bullying at Butler, so Queens Grant may be the best option. And that's how I kind of got there. But like I said, it kind of led a whole year. And honestly, to be honest, I typed in on YouTube Christian rap, and I listened to Lecrae's "Don't Waste Your Life."
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first, um, I would say, Christian hip hop song I listened to, um, for real. I mean, and then but later on, but I mean and then excuse me, like a few months later, that's when I got saved. And then actually a few months after, or a few weeks after being saved, I got baptized. Um, and I was just on fire for the Lord. And that's when, like I said, I was just getting plugged in at YCI, and um, I was doing the freestyles at the lunch tables,
Mm-hmm.
the picnic tables that Queens Grant has. And I was in drama one and drama two class. Um, that so I've also kind of had a little bit of self-confidence there. And yeah, Queens Grant though was a really good, experience for me, because also I was on the wrestling team, and I through all of this I was able to kind of get a senior superlative of most involved, which I only really did two technically things out of the high school experience. I'd be like, I was just part of the Watch the Yacht Club and the wrestling team, but because of everybody knowing me and uh, doing other things, I was able to be blessed with that superlative. I would say definitely just having some small difficulties at Independence my freshman year kind of is what got me to Queens Grant, but also kind of is what led me to kind of just more rely on to the Lord. Uh, I'd even say even before then, like you know how they always say you got to have your seeds of faith, and not necessarily you won't necessarily see it blossom. You'd like to see it blossom, but it's not necessarily it could not be in your will to see it blossom. So there was,
Mm-hmm.
there was a um, just a babysitter in my younger years, from the daycare that I went to. I was actually at a Christian daycare when I was younger, but I never really went to church a lot. I never went to church when I was younger. I started going to church again when I was in 10th grade, but just small little things, got, um, just going to vacation Bible school with my babysitter, and just having those seeds of faith also kind of help, shape that. But I never really made the exact turn to faith until I was uh 15, about to turn 16. And yeah, I was just doing that. Again, it's also quite funny because again, I did the Christian hip hop, or I still do Christian hip hop. That's actually the first exposure to hip hop I ever kind of had, was when I was at that daycare I mentioned, um, when I was like 5 or 6 years old. But again, uh, back in the early 2000s, churches even are starting to come around to a little bit more contemporary style music. But back in the day, you hear hip hop and in a Christian environment, and it's just, no, we gotta turn it off. But my first exposure to hip hop was cross movement human emergency, uh, which they're like kind of, they were around, like I said, more when Wu Tang was around, and like that 90s hip hop. And they were actually they were in New York and Philadelphia uh as well. So that was kind of the first ever exposure to hip hop I ever had. And I didn't really even realize that until I was on Pandora when I was in high school. And I'm like, wow, I remember the cover. Like, how you just remember a cover and you just don't forget it. You don't forget an image. And when I was listening to one of their songs one day, and I'm like, well, I remember posting it too. I was like, wow, I know this is really reaffirming to my message and to my mission about being an ambassador for the Lord and doing what I want to do. And so that's kind of, again, what drove me to get my degrees in sports entertainment event management, to kind of implement the gospel through those means, and that going further into my graduate programs as well.
Oh, okay, cool. That's wonderful, man. That's wonderful how much like hip hop has pretty much influenced you, and it's kind of sad that you had to deal with all that stuff and like independence and everything. Because I actually heard some wild things about stuff going on in Independence, man. It's just like it's kind of sad how that had to be the reality for some people, that it was kind of stressed out. It's really sad how like the CMS system as a whole was so flawed, because it always felt like they actually let a lot of these issues just go to the point where it was just like where kids were probably getting hurt, or where kids would bring guns to school. It's like I feel like when kids really get to the point where it's like where people like unalive themselves or they try to like unalive other people. I feel like that's the whole CMS system's like fault to my degree. And I've been a victim of like issues to that degree as much as I hate to admit it. Yeah. Where it's like a lot of them really could have jumped in and whatnot, but it's just like, I always keep the it's like, when God reveals people in your life being cruel to you, it just shows you the importance of charity. When people act ignorant, it's just showcasing you the importance of clarity. Um, or just betray you is just to show you the importance of loyalty. You know what I mean? So it's just like I always carry that with me, no matter what. It's just like people are just reflections of what you shouldn't be, and it's really sad how CMS really kind of went down, because it's just like I feel like life shouldn't even be like that. It's like people out there just talking mess about people, trying to drive people insane and everything. There was one girl I knew like from middle school and a transition to like high school and everything. And because I wasn't with that same group of people from middle school to high school, I think they started picking on her and calling her a crackhead multiple times until she had to go to counseling for it. Like, how would you even mess with people to that point where like they almost lose their minds? You know what I mean? It's just that's good that you found footing in Queens Grant, because it's like a lot of people didn't like being there. I think it was just your era and everything. After when y'all left and whatnot, things kind of got lame. Like I feel like 2013 onwards got just hella lame at Queens Grant. Like in my opinion, to be honest, because it's just like people were just weird. Like
This is
sorry.
I have a personal opinion on that, and the reason why is because originally it was supposed to be Queens Grant Preparatory High School, and it was only supposed to be a select number of people that were supposed to get in. You were supposed to be on a wait list. You had to have a certain GPA and everything. And so when they weren't getting numbers like they were in order to keep their charter, and this is like kind of inside baseball, fun facts, they had to accept anybody and everybody, meaning all the bad kids from CMS needed to go to a charter school, and all the East Charlotte high schools went to Queens Grant for the most part, or Kennedy Charter. So that's kind of another thing, is you have to keep a certain number enrollment in order for you to keep your charter. And that's the reason why, and Dr. Smith, he's a great principal, Dr. Michael Smith, he actually, his first year, cut the Queens Grant preparatory out. And that was my junior year is when he got there. And he was supposed to be I think if I'm not mistaken, he was also supposed to be the inaugural principal, but due to some other business things that he was going with, he wasn't able to. But the first few years that Queens Grant was there, they kind of didn't live up to the expectations from from what they were supposed to have, and so they just started accepting everybody. I mean, even for my experience, like I knew that I could get in, but it was said, "Oh, you'll be on a wait list." My mom waited 15 minutes, and I got accepted.
Oh, okay. Well,
So it's kind of those things.
I didn't even know what my mom was thinking dropping me at that school. To be honest, like they ain't got no gym, they had no library. I didn't understand what was she so pressed on about it, because it's like it didn't really improve anything for me on my end. I was leaving a really crappy situation from CMS from middle school that once again she was forcing me to go to. So it's just like, it was just a lot to deal with as a kid. You know what I'm saying? Because like I use music and rap to kind of heal from a lot of the traumas that I had, and just to give me like a shutter of hope and give me a challenge to work for. You know what I mean? So it's like I still always have passion for it. Even when I'm down and I feel like I'm not productive, I always have it set in my mind that I'm always going to drop something someday. I'm gonna get back in that studio again. I'm just whatever I'm going through at the moment, it's just to get through it until I get back into the studio. Okay. And now I'm really about to go really, really hard this upcoming year. Like like no other. Like I will live in the studio on the weekends.
Yeah.
Like if it means to really get where I need to get, because this is really a passion for me, and I feel like a lot of people really counted me out for a lot of years, and whatever, like screw them, I don't care. But I have to prove it to myself, and it's just amongst other things like my medical condition and everything of that um scenario. It's like I just see everything as just a challenge and an opportunity to growth now, as opposed to just a setback. Yeah, there could be a setback to a certain degree, but it's like, I just feel like, it's just all in God's hands and God's timing. It just gotta put me in a good place first before I really accept the blessings as I want to. You know what I mean? Like I just need to mature. I need to be able to get better as I am and just shaping up. That's just kind of my viewpoint with stuff like that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, just keep in mind we're about to go off in like 5 minutes. You want me to just cut this interview off, and then we can just hop on for part two in a little bit?
Yeah, we can do that if you want to.
Yeah, because I don't want to have to get intense and everything, and then it's just like then it cuts off in the middle. You know what I mean?
Right.
All right, so we'll return for part two. All right, cool. All right, cool. Part two again. So wait, where did we leave off on the part one? Oh yeah, I was
Uh,
talking about some stuff about like how like in my career I'm trying to hop on, or what I'm trying to focus on for this year. But yeah, it's just when it comes to this rap and this music thing, and even like it's just all passion and everything. And passion will lead you to all sorts of places, regardless of like who says like you can't do this or you can't do that. You know what I mean? So it's like when I met up with people like you in high school who was like way older than me and probably could have been like one of the folks to be like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. Like I feel like you were giving me like some really good like feedback and like actual like some really good like advice to that degree and everything. And what motivates you to like speak well onto others in regards to this music thing?
for me again, I actually kind of what you're doing right now. I watch a lot of music podcasts though, and um, I just get gems from people that do podcasts, and also just in my general self, just kind of seeing where the industry's going and seeing how I can best get my message out there uh, to help others that need the help, no matter if it's one person or if it's reaching many.
Yeah, man, I feel that, man. I feel that heavily. I just feel like, that's really like dope, not just for the podcast thing, but even before then, like, back in like 2013 and everything, like seriously, like trying to do this whole music thing, like it was always tough. Not in a sense tough because I was always trying to like build on my vocabulary and everything. So I just, it was just one of those like step by step type of things. And I just always just wondered and everything, it's just like, is this something I can really make it into something? Like I always knew in my head, like I was always gonna make this a part of my life, regardless of what anybody thinks and
Right.
everything. Because it's like I feel like rap and hip hop as a whole kind of saved my life from a very, very dark time period, and still does like save me in very, very dark periods of my life also. And I just feel like God kind of had me connected with hip hop and build a relationship with hip hop that I have now. And it's just I'm just working to give back to hip hop as a whole. Like I don't even focus on it for like the whole success or the money or the woman or whatever. If it comes my way, cool. But it's like really, it's just more like just giving back to a medium that really saved my life. So it's like when people say, "Oh, you can't do that," like I always brush it off because I'm not even trying to compete with them. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like to know that there were other artists and everything like you who just like kind of saw hip hop for what it was instead of like seeing hip hop as just like, oh, it's just this thing that people can like exploit or get whatever out of. And instead, you chose to actually give me advice and everything, or like try to help me and actually like not consider me like an equal per se, but just like just level with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Would you say like your relationship with God, or like maybe your past experiences, kind of influence this way you carry yourself?
I think definitely my I still kind of go to this church. I just do it more online and doing a lot of like phone call Bible studies and stuff. I'm more like a online member because of just my um, my physical limitations and mental health, I can't really drive, and I'm out here in the middle of the country. So, but I believe again the church that I was going to when we first met, and just being around men who were great godly men, and I still have, you know, great relationships with them to this day, and friendships, and getting mentored by them, and then in turn helping, students at Queens Grant, and just also having a fellowship at Queens Grant and having accountability at Queens Grant. I mean, we can name a lot of people that were big at, in just the YCI club. I mean, you had a lot of, I still remember, biggest name that probably you'll remember is Brandon Moore. He was a great guy, and he was like the president of YCI, and he kind of helped me uh get myself even in the door with it when it came to Queens Grant, when it came to the, YCI club, and being able to speak, and also being able just to rap there a few times and do worship. Was able to, again, kind of just help, other people who wouldn't even necessarily think about going into a Christian club, but because, like I said, I used the medium of hip hop back when high school, and I still do, to advance the gospel and to advance a, positive message. I am able to just have that. Just like I said, just have great mentors throughout my life, especially since becoming a Christian. That's kind of helped me, in turn, help others to be able to do that.
Okay, cool. That's great. For sure. It's good to have good mentors in your space to kind of influence like how you carry yourself and things of that nature. I know like I owe a lot of my success right now to my mentors in the Men's Achievement Center back at North Carolina Central University, Dr. Roger Keith, who's leaving sadly, and Mr. Sean Andrews, who left like before I graduated and stuff of that nature. It's just like, I feel like once there's good, like, masculine figures that are willing to actually like help you like along your way in life, I feel like that's a blessing in itself, because like there's been people who are way older than me that I come across who are just like kind of full of themselves or just kind of act childish, like they'll be like in their 30s to like 60s and acting like, like children and everything. And it can be kind of disappointing, like how for them to carry themselves a certain way or trying to like add on the certain things in their way. But it's just like, I always keep in mind that once again, when people like when people show themselves like in a harsh way, it's just a reflection of what you shouldn't do or what you shouldn't be. So it's just I feel like things like even those interactions are just as important, if not even more, because they teach me how to be a better man also. So that's just my stance in regards to like, and like even like with you, like for sure, like even like how you were even giving me advice. That's like how I approach other people who are younger than me, even if they whether they're already doing better or doing a whole lot more music or doing a whole lot more. But if like they're like if I give people advice or I try to put people on game, I always take that step to help people out. And it's just like, that's just I just feel like that's just something that's kind of like sewn into my nature. It's just I can never see myself as like a hater or someone that could just like wants to hold people back or sabotage people's characters or anything so they don't like, become successful because, all that karma comes back to you in one way or another. And, it's really just not worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Definitely ain't. But anyway, and going into like your life after Queens Grant and after grad school, like how'd you end up in the middle of the country as you stated where you're at right now? You just chilling out there? You just prefer it out there?
Yeah, well, like I was saying, I during grad, or right after my first master's degree, I decided to go to Rochester, New York. It's actually in the top 10 for unchurched cities in America. And again, as I also stated earlier, I felt like I was, knew what I was doing just because of based on what I saw basically other people do. So I was kind of trying to mimic a lot. And so there was some things where, like I said, I kind of, I guess, jumped the gun a little bit on certain things. Um, and so there are just certain experiences that I had up there that I, uh, the Lord was definitely, you know, making me stronger, but I also put myself in positions that He wouldn't necessarily want me to be in. And that's kind of how I came back down to North Carolina. And, but, in my time in Rochester, New York, I was able to learn about my mental disability and learn of things that I've just I've kind of knew all along. It's just I never really got officially diagnosed with what I got diagnosed with. And so it just helped me kind of understand as a person who I was. So I took about 2.5 years from 29 or June of 2019 to February of this year. I was actually in Rochester, New York. And um, it's just me growing as a man, like I said, but also wanting. I felt like I was called to do something really big, and I know I was. It's just like I said, I kind of went about it the wrong way in certain ways. And so, with that being said, sometimes the Lord's like, you need to come back, to your comfort zone. And so, actually, I have family that lives out here. I actually live next door to a family member of mine. So that's kind of how I'm out here in the country and able to still kind of move around a little bit when it's, working on, other people's schedules a little bit. But I said I'm doing good, but that's how I kind of came back down into North Carolina was just like I said, I didn't have I was like I said, just being a man and kind of it's kind of also I guess the time in my faith where it was kind of low and didn't know when I was up in New York. And so coming back home, has also been beneficial for me in the walk with the Lord, and in that respect as well. But I definitely would say that me wanting to still reach out to a community of, that was kind of the biggest thing was going up to New York. Like I said, it was in the city that I was naming. It's last time I checked the statistics on it, it was like number 8 in the country for unchurched cities in America, with about half the population not going to a believing church, or believers that are not going to church. So
Yeah.
that's where like my missionary aspect, like I said, oh, it's to be a good missionary field. And I knew an acquaintance, um, going up there, and again, certain things just fell apart. And Lord, like I said, was like, this ain't really for you. You come back. You got family and friends that will help you. Uh, and again, since coming back home, I've had more success than I've had uh, in what I would like to do in the past 2 years. So I know that it was a beneficial for me coming back home, even though when I was about 23, 24, I didn't realize, you know, how much support and help that I've had uh, here. Um,
Yeah, so it's like you feel like you have more support like in the area that you're staying at compared to Rochester and everything. It just feel like it just wasn't what it was ought to be, right?
Yeah, like I said, I had a, you sometimes you dream about, if you go somewhere and it's going to be something that you think about, and then it's like not what you expected. And that's kind of what that was. And I moved right, like I said, in June of 2019 from, you know, Charlotte to Rochester. And then right after, it seemed like the pandemic hit. So I was kind of stuck there for a little while. Uh, and with travel restrictions and just other things. And it's just, like I said, finally I was able just to get back down here. And yeah, just I've been living good and like I said, getting focused again, and it's been beneficial for me.
Okay, that's wonderful, man. Like, sure, it's good to find your place. Like for me, it was hard for me to find my way out to Queens Grant, man. All the people I fell out with over dumb stuff, man. It's just, it's a healing process, man. But it's just like, I just feel like, God is just funny that way. It's just like, you feel like you're losing people, but really you're just finding like, yourself in a sense. I feel like I've done a lot more by myself than I would have like with them. You know what I mean? And it's just like, like out of the whole group of friends, quote unquote friends that I've had, I feel like I'm one of the few people that actually graduated with a degree, which is insane. Graduated at the top of my class, like, it's just crazy. You come from like a place where it's like people usually, oh, you're stupid, or oh, you're this, that, this, and the third. And it's like you managed to really like graduate at the top of your class, at the business school, get your degree. I'm the first and last child my grandfather saw graduate from college. And like before he passed, God bless his heart, he passed away this year in May. And it's just like, I just realized like, man, like I really have a responsibility to my family and everything. That's why I don't even sweat like what people say about me, in the past or whatever. However, I'm thinking about relocating to Washington D.C. or DMV area, so I can be able to go to Howard for to get my master's degree. I took a year off because I had some things to get situated in Charlotte. Gladly things are already getting situated a little bit. So hopefully in fall of next year I can be able to relocate and go to Howard. That's my dream graduate school and everything. I would definitely want to go to that graduate program and get connected with that and see what I can do with that. It's all a process, but I just like once I see something in my mind and everything, I just kind of go get it. And I've just like once I've been in and out of Washington D.C. a couple times, and it just feels like like that's where I should be. You know what I'm saying? Like that whole DMV area.
Right. And that's actually, another thing is um in the middle of this whole entire thing, I was trying to get my doctorate of education online at Liberty University. And again, like what you just said, you kind of had to take a year off. I'm in that process too, but that's actually something that I was wanting to get into was the doctor of education in Christian uh, leadership.
Theology?
Yeah, but well, like I said, I already had my master's of art in urban ministry and the master's of science and leadership. So I was combining basically those two and getting my doctor of education in leadership, and Christian leadership. So that's one thing that I was wanting to do online for the Liberty University's program. So but again, I had to take a year off myself. Like I said, with just everything going on in my life. But yeah, that was something that I've also been thinking about as well for the endeavors for my future, as just continuing doing that. And with that, it's actually also a Christian leadership, but it's also online discipleship. So it's kind of stuff similar to what I do on my Instagram page already, which is just, making music and also just making videos and Christian posts and stuff of that nature. So that's, kind of the realm that I've also kind of wanted to play as I've seen how the world again has been able to uh, move forward since this pandemic. It's mostly been online and everything, and so I've been, you know, like I've said, um, pre or a few minutes ago with the seeing how industries work and everything, and um, that's been an important aspect of how do I advance the gospel um, in certain places and everything and certain times. And with COVID happening, that's definitely opened up my eyes in that respect. But again, as I've always said since I was 15 years old, I've wanted to do things for the Lord, and that's been my main focus. And again, I know that for some people that maybe um, some people in my family and some people also in my circle or in my friend circle may be like, well, that won't, sometimes it won't pay enough for everything. But again, it's the Lord will provide, and also um, something that I'm very passionate about. And so you gotta do what you like to do in life. If not, you're just living for other people, and you're gonna be stuck in a very hard way of moving.
Yeah, no, for real. You can't live for other people, man. That's one thing I had to learn the hard way, man. It's just like I feel like a big chunk of my life has just been spent trying to please others and everything to a degree. I feel like that just comes, I don't know if you acknowledge zodiac signs or whatever, but like I'm a Libra rising, so it comes with that. It's like you're kind of like a bit of a people pleaser to a certain degree, so you end up being kind of like a bit of a class clown. You feel like you're very stuck on other people's opinions and everything, and I just feel like I feel like a lot of like my growth I feel like God had to really break me down through other people's betrayals and everything, and all types of nonsensical stuff and rumors and everything, all just so I can be able to be built up more strong and everything. In terms of just not caring what other people think, because you want to reach a stage where, especially with music and hip hop, you got to stop caring what people think. You just got to have to stick to your truth, and that's just it, and just leave it as it is. I feel like my biggest problems sometimes is just I feel like I react to things a lot, and I feel like I would do myself a favor if I just like kind of just stop caring what people say, um, and everything. So it's just like it's all a process, and but I feel like the more you prioritize the people that you love, your real friends, your goals, and your ambitions, but most importantly your purpose, and even more importantly than that, your relationship with God. Like there's nowhere you can't go, and there's nothing you can't overcome, and that's just kind of where I'm gonna leave it with that. No, for real. But it's like in terms so you really do still have interests and goals in regards to getting your doctors. So what motivates you to want to get your doctor's degree?
Um, Again, I see it a lot with um, people that have access to the internet um, and advancing the gospel um, in a correct way, because there are definitely prosperity gospel teachers where they just want it for the money, and
Mm.
so it's been it's even been difficult even with some of my social medias that people who they'll they'll message me and stuff, and I'm like, I'd have to sometimes correct them and say, hey, like some of the things that you know you're doing is actually uh false, and they're not even aware of it. And I'm even having to tell them like, don't be deceived by or what um you see from major people. And so that's the reason why the doctorate in Christian leadership with digital discipleship, it's um helping with like the resources for online play or for online ministry to be able to outreach to certain parts of the world um, that still have internet access to be able to get true gospel teaching. Because, like I said, there's many like I said, teachers who are doing it more for themselves instead of for the actual real reason why we should do it, and that's to worship and to glorify the Lord.
Mm. Yeah, man. But like, what do you feel like really makes the difference between people who are true pastors, true preachers, and stuff of that nature, and people who are just like faking it? Like, what's the real like main difference that separates them both?
Honestly, you can tell when they start talking more about the money and about, and also just about um, other things about just aspects of, there's going to be it's just the feel good, the feel good sermons, I guess you could call them. And it's just like, no, life is going to be this way there. And it's even been, you're supposed to lean on, the Lord more. And it's just, I feel like certain pastors, they don't preach all of it, or they misconstrue certain scriptures to make people feel good. And I see it, in, again, social media, Christian groups, that where people will have a post and you'll see the comments, and you see even between believers, they're just arguing back and forth because of what, a certain pastor says, or and then somebody else will have a differing opinion. And it's okay to kind of dis disclose, or have these conversations, but when it starts, also, you know promoting, it promotes a lot of division.
I like
And
a
that's
superficialness to the preaching and everything. It's just like kind of just telling people what they need to hear and blah 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 instead of like really preaching dimensions of the
that
word.
aspect. And then it's like, um and then if you give $1,000, you'll be getting 10,000 back. And it's like, no, that's not how it is. Or, $1,000 and Jesus will bless you. That doesn't necessarily happen. No, it can happen, but hey, that's not always the case. If you know, give money, you'll receive your reward, or from the Lord, or something. I mean, there's that aspect, but I mean, that's the major thing, when it's like I said, there's certain things that are left to be unanswered. Because if that's the biggest thing, is if you have the biggest thing, or even within, if you go to Genesis 1, like I said, with Adam and Eve, like God told them, don't eat the apple.
Mm.
But they listened to the devil, or they listened to the serpent, and they ate the apple, and they found out it's all about the power and everything. But it's what some things are left not to be, are left to not be known. Because like, they were walking around in the wilderness without anything, and then once they realized that they were not clothed, they were busy trying to clothe themselves and hide themselves. And God was like, who told you that you were naked?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, certain things are left to be unanswered, or certain things are not, you know, because we're supposed to rely on Him. We're supposed to, you know, have that faith in Him. Because if you try to find the answers, then you're trying to be more like God. And we're not supposed to be God. We're supposed to, again, rely on Him and what He has to say, instead of what, we're trying to figure out. And sometimes that can even be reading too much into scripture, even within our own personal selves, one-on-one quiet times and stuff of that nature. So that's the big thing about, for me, is trying to preach an authentic gospel, and just make people aware of, the true gospel. And understand that there are going to be um, false teachers amongst us, and they're the wolves in sheep's clothing.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like for sure, like in regards to like wolves in sheep's clothing and everything, we do. I feel like we live in a society where I feel like narcissism is really held over like spiritualism and being empathetic and stuff of that nature. Where status is almost king to a certain degree. Um, Honestly, on one hand, I feel like it could get better over time, like once the older people get. But especially like in this day and age, like with people only jumping on the bandwagon for just following behind whoever and just believing in whatever, not knowing really like measuring like what's really like the long-term effects and short-term effects of their actions. um that's why it's good to be mindful. But it's like I don't know, this generation is just weird on that degree. Like, I feel like in this time ever, I feel like we need more I feel like we all need to pray more, build more of a relationship with God, go to church more. I love going to church, man. I'm gonna say it like this because it's just like every time I go, I feel like I'm getting like some type of message or something that I needed to hear. Like, one of my favorite things that like I go to the Hickory Grove Baptist Church, the one that like we all usually have our graduation ceremony at.
Yeah,
Yeah, and Pastor Clint, like one of my favorite one of my favorite messages from him is one like he literally said it's just like God doesn't have the heart to punish anybody. He just disciplines us and prepares us for the blessings that are coming later in our life. And another thing is like, oh, like you like people who are struggling the most or going through the most are seen as like God's like I don't want to say God has favorites because I know He loves us all well, but it's like God has pretty much God sees you as like his favorite because it's like He has so much faith that you can overcome these obstacles in you, so you have to have faith in Him the same way. So it's just like it's just things like that. It's just those gems. It's just good to listen to that. Like I'm gonna get a prayer but notebook. That's what I need to get. I'm gonna get a prayer.
honestly, honestly, that's what I mean. I have just a regular notebook, but I do my sermon notes. I do my Bible studies from there. I have I have multiple journals, one or multiple notepads and stuff. One for, like I said, my poetry and my music, but I have one specifically designed for my spiritual walk with the Lord, and that's again with Bible studies and sermon notes and all that type of stuff. That definitely is a big important factor. I feel if you want to be able to grow in your faith and the walk in the Lord, it shows your growth too over however long it may take to fill that journal. You could see, well, this is what I was praying for, and let me see if it got answered by the time and even if it didn't, like I said, some things are left to be unanswered, or certain things don't always go in our favor, but God sees the ultimate bigger plan. So we may never know just immediately, but we may figure out the reason why later on, or we may never. And again, it'll be something that we'll have to see once we are in His presence.
Yeah, I feel like one of the biggest things I had to learn over the years is just just keep the faith in God. For sure, man. I feel like God has been really, really good towards me. Even though I'm going through a lot of issues, like I don't really speak about. I just always keep it in mind that God will just walk me through it. Because it's like I feel like I've gotten this far in my life. I'm 24, about to turn 25. As a black man, it's like that's a huge milestone to actually get your degree and everything and still live to see 24, let alone being close to 25. Some of us get locked up, some of us get killed a lot earlier for dumb stuff. And to think I survived a whole lot, fake friends and everything. God has blessed me with friends that are there for me. We God has also blessed me with friends that would just never do me dirty. You know, God has just put me in a place where it's just like, yeah, things might not be what I want it to be, but I feel like, I feel like a lot of my blessings are coming very, very soon. And I feel like I'm getting closer and closer to it. And it's only through his grace. You just got to be thankful for what he's done, but also thank him for the blessings that are coming very soon because, like, that's all part of the whole faith situation. I just know that life is going to get better. I just know that life is going to go up. You know, it's just a matter of just me just maintaining that relationship with God and just if I feeling low or whatever, just get closer and closer. You know what I mean?
Definitely. And I mean, it, like I said, I could definitely speak on just even from prior experience for myself that, when you do put your, full trust in Lord and everything, um, he will provide and he will bring upon peace. And it's just staying faithful to him. If you don't stay faithful to him, then that's where, again, you'll see struggles, you'll see the mishappenings in life. And just staying on his true path is the uh, way to go, and that's how you'll continue to see progression, peace, happiness, you know and everything of that the Lord has for your life in a full completion.
Yeah, man. No, most definitely. We're getting close to the end of this episode and everything. Thank you, Dalton, for hopping on. Might you have any last words to let the people know before we go off?
Yeah, definitely. Do you know when this is actually getting uploaded, or?
I'm gonna upload it as fast as I can. I'll probably say either maybe tonight or tomorrow for sure.
Okay, well, with that being said, December 23rd, Lost and Found, it will be on all streaming platforms, and that STATZ, um, Statz, it's Lost and Found as the new single that I'm going to be dropping December 23rd. And my Instagram profile page is Stat Street Poetry. And again, that's STATZSTREETPOETRY. And if you want to reach out to me, and if you have any questions about mental health, spirituality, faith, I'm your guy to speak about.
All right, cool. Thank you. That's the Mental Threads Podcast, episode 138. We sewing in and now we're sewing out. Thank you very much for hopping on.
No problem.
All right, cool.